Waiting for a Star to Fall happened, and then the spigot got turned off on pop music, and then came Nirvana, and then we had the '90s, and I have to say I was thrilled to hear the musicality of what was coming out of Seattle and the power of it, the emotion. It was,
and that it was really a whole sort of cohesive, coherent movement. There was a style to it. You know, it was grunge, perhaps born of the the weather there and just a feeling in the air, I would say, and of those times. So, but that's when we were already down in Los Angeles, so we weren't so much associated with that.
Did you have some friends still back home who said, things are kicking off up here? What was it?
We had a few studio engineer friends who were very much aware of what was going on in Seattle. But I think, that we first got hip to it through MTV, probably listening to the videos.
I took a raft trip down the Grand Canyon in the early '90s, and we were down there for 23 days, and we had brought music along with us, and we brought instruments too. We actually set up and played music on the way down. But one of the cassettes, there was a cassette tape that we had along with us, and it was Nevermind. And I just got every day we'd get up and we'd row to Nirvana's album, and it's like I really got familiar with the musicality of it. So it was great. It was a great, great. I always tie that album to that trip.
Total immersion, we call that.
Yeah,
it was.
What did you hear in Nirvana's music? Obviously, being from Seattle, what did you hear? Did you hear the pop melodies in it, or did you hear the angst in it, or what was it that kind of caught your ear?
I think all of it. I liked the quality of Kurt Cobain's voice. I liked all the rough edges of it. And then it was surprisingly melodic. You could perform any of their songs with just a guitar and a voice, and they translated beautifully, and you could certainly hear some desperation in it.
Yeah. And am I mistaken? Wasn't it Butch Vig that produced Nevermind? I think it was.
So. Yeah.
And how he corralled, and how he brought the music, and created. He really was so responsible for creating the sound of it. Kurt's brilliance, and as far as stretching the limits of musical reality is one thing, and lyrically and everything like that, and expression of angst and everything. But it's funny. I laughed when you said that, because the first thing I thought was Hoquiam, because we know the Northwest, and we know the little funky town that Kurt came out of, and it's like, oh man, it's understandable, that if that was at your core, where some of this might have come out of.
Yeah, true, and I've forgotten about that. Yeah, it's on the really right in the fog bank along the coast of
yes.
Washington, and that could bring your spirits down a bit,
right?
And also make you quite introspective.
Yeah, and he's crazy. Like, I don't know if it makes us sound old or not, but for me, like, even when I hear that stuff, like over 30 years later, it still sounds fresh and exciting. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was into all like the late 80s, early 90s hard rock bands, which were still around with the massive image and stuff. That's what made me want to be in a band. But so I was like, damn, they took away my music. But even now, just hearing the grunge stuff, it's like, it still sounds so exciting.
And that might be partly due to it seems like it was recorded in a really raw way, and it's not overly embellished. Mm-hmm. So it really doesn't have so much a time period when you hear it in your heart. It just hits you where it was meant to hit you.
Yeah, definitely.
But the one big difference I would just say is that, kind of we started out talking about, pardon me, I'm getting comfortable here. We started out talking about the punk and the new wave time, and a lot of those records were recorded so horribly. So it was like this, like, it was just edgy, and it's like, and it wasn't meant to. It was meant to cause, that's really part of what that was. But I think what I love so much about what I guess it is Butch Vig, or else I better get my facts straight. But I'm going to give him all the credit. I think it is Butch. But the band and Butch coming together to create this new sound that actually it's all at once musical too. It's like all those tones, all those guitars mean something. Every one of those bass lines means something. So it's actually very musical, but it's very powerful.